Yeah, I think it's like an holistic way because at the end of the day, even as a marketer, he said that the goal of marketing is to make sales easy. It's the goal is not to just create awareness and bring people to the website or have them sign up for demos. Even like I think for every marketer, like you want to know that like you're marketing in a way that's actually making a difference in your business, that people see your ads or whatever else you're doing and actually goes to the website and actually becomes a client.
Hi, and welcome to CMO Convo. Today, we have with us Aviv Canaani, Chief Revenue Officer at Datarails. Aviv, welcome to my show. I'm so thrilled to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Michal, for inviting me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And so, Aviv, before we jump into today's topic, which is developing a non-traditional B2B strategy, I would love to hear a bit about your background. Maybe you can walk us through a bit about your journey.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so originally from Israel, used to work here in Israel, the political system. Now I'm in the US. I did my MBA at Duke, worked for 4 years in corporate America at IBM, learned a lot from it about B2B marketing, selling cloud and mobile solutions for the enterprise. Moved back actually to Israel to lead marketing for an online marketing company called Natural Intelligence. A year later, I took my first VP marketing role, leading marketing for a hypergrowth startup called Workies, Series A to Series B, a company that focuses on the CRM for the trades like locksmith, electricians, HVAC. Built the team almost from scratch. And about 4 years ago, I was approached on LinkedIn by a guy named Eyal Cohen from Datarails. I looked him up a bit. Seemed like a really interesting guy. Already built $1 billion company, which is WalkMe. So I
Wow.
decided to join. Hopefully, this is going to be his second unicorn. And when I joined the Datarails as VP marketing, the company just had a couple $1 million in ARR. And Didi, the CEO, and Eyal told me, try to build marketing. Let's see what happens. Fast forward 4 years from a company that was 95% outbound. It's now 95% inbound. We grew more than 10 times since. Amazing and fun growth. And based on the fact that it became very inbound led a couple of years ago, they also asked me to lead sales. The only problem now is that I can't blame sales for not closing my amazing leads as a marketer. And also as the head of sales, I can't blame marketing for all these crappy leads that they send us. So now I'm the CRO, leading everything from marketing, sales, partnerships, account management, everything focused on revenue growth for the company.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. First of all, it's amazing how it sounds all very casual, although it's like really impressive and extremely non-traditional. And actually, that was also what led me to wanting to have you as a guest in this show. And I would love to talk a bit about the transition from being a CMO to CRO. This gives you a very unique end-to-end perspective, as you said. And I would love to hear how much this shift is actually viable and how did it change your perspective?
Yeah, so I think especially in startups, hyper-growth startups, VC backed, it's all about revenue growth. And I felt sometimes weird in management meetings where the CEO would ask me for my results and then the VP sales. And I would say, oh, we hit our target in terms of number of meetings or opportunities. And then the VP sales would say, oh, we actually didn't hit our target in terms of closed won opportunities. It doesn't make sense. It can be that like one team hits the target, the other doesn't. It's one team focused on revenue. And once I got the opportunity to lead sales, I think it makes a lot of sense also for the CEO because then like he has one person he has to work with that not only is in charge of revenue growth, but also on cost of acquisition. So it's up to me to decide if I want to invest now more money in marketing, brand campaigns, or content stuff, or even like hiring more new account executives. It's all up to me, like, thinking about the cost of acquisition and how it can help us get to our revenue targets.
Yeah, well, it all makes total sense, and I can definitely see the potential. But how, and I'm curious about it, how do you balance between your kind of like marketing mindset and the sales mindset, or does it all kind of like come together in a very holistic way?
Um, Yeah, I think it's like an holistic way because at the end of the day, even as a marketer, like he said that the goal of marketing is to make sales easy. The goal is not to just create awareness and bring people to the website or have them sign up for demos. Even like I think for every marketer, like you want to know that like you're marketing in a way that's actually making a difference in your business, that people see your ads or whatever else you're doing and actually goes to your website and actually becomes a client. So actually, like once I got the opportunity to lead sales, like I can really own like the full funnel, and it's fun. Like I can see the results. I can see the results of everything we're doing in marketing, and I see this kind of trend in startups creating this position of CRO that manages both sales and marketing. I think for many companies, they're letting the sales leader take over, and then like a lot of VP marketers are like, "Oh, I don't want to do, report to the sales guy." Not everything, you can actually measure and show revenue to. In my case, it's a bit more unique where I came from marketing to lead both marketing and sales. And I think like we had the same like experience at the beginning, with the sales team, and they had to build that kind of trust with them. But I do think it's not just based on like what's your background with the marketing and sales. And I think there's pros and cons to each one, like for the position of CRO, but it's like whoever really thinks about, what's right for the company, really thinks about the whole go-to-market engine and what could work, what's not going to work, and just be true about, about it and understand where there are leakages or challenges in the funnel. So I personally really enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it is an emerging trend. We can definitely see it. And as you mentioned, usually it's more the VP of sales that becoming the CRO. In your case, it is unique, and that's exactly why I wanted to have you here. So yeah, thank you for sharing also from your experience and how actually holistic and good it feels. I would love to touch the point that you've already mentioned about flipping the outbound, the 95% outbound into inbound. That is extremely, extremely impressive. And I would love to learn more about it and also for our audience. Maybe the first question that we can kind of like unpack is what made you realize that you need to change the strategy?
Yeah, so it's important to mention, like when I joined, the goal was to build marketing. So I was focused on just making marketing work. So at the beginning, I decided to do go in two paths. One's, of course, organic. One is paid. In paid, I focused on, I got like a great leader for the team that were focused on campaigns on Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also organic. We built like a leading podcast in the FP&A space, as well as like really like a very fun like company LinkedIn account. And we started building that. And with time, we saw that we can really scale and create like this kind of predictable revenue that we know based on how much money we're spending, how much we're generating in terms of leads and eventually revenue. And actually, we had a very good like outbound team as well. And I think what happened was like in 2022, the whole market crashed, especially like in tech. And we just had this situation where the close rate of outbound just became much lower. So the outbound team would still like hit their targets in terms of meetings and opportunities, but it just didn't like get to a closed one as much as marketing, where marketing is more inbound. So people that raise their hands, maybe they have like higher intent in buying. So I do wish, like outbound will, would have worked out. Now, like, we're putting a lot of effort into making it work again, and we're seeing some results, from outbound. It's not that like I'm married to the idea of 95% inbound. I want to diversify. I want to have inbound work and outbound work and partnerships work. But it just, I think outbound just became much more difficult with, the technologies and everything changes. Like you can hear it across the industry. And I'm just happy we did that kind of positioning towards inbound, that really helped us scale. And I think it also now helps our outbound efforts as well, because now when we call prospects and we say the name of the company, okay, we're calling from Datarails, actually know what Datarails is. So that can really help our outbound efforts. So I think it's just finding the right mix.
Yeah, sounds cool. And maybe for our audience, can you share a bit about the first steps? So, how do you create such inbound at scale? What have you used? So, you mentioned you have like a podcast, you build a very strong LinkedIn presence. Were these the first steps, or what was the beginning of the strategy?
Right. So I joined as VP marketing. I knew I wanted to make marketing work. So I did two things, both in organic as well as in paid. In paid, I bought 3 agencies, one for Google, one for Facebook, and one for LinkedIn. I wanted them to compete a bit while I was building an inbound team And the moment we started doing campaigns, despite the fact the messaging wasn't that great or the design wasn't that great, it felt like, you're exploring, you're drilling, and you're actually finding oil. Something actually worked. Like we started bringing deals in. It really helped me make the case of building this kind of in-house team where we got a lot of really smart people, many of them coming from B2C that are willing to take risks, willing to do very creative ads. And we made these channels work. Again, like mostly Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And with time, we even started exploring other ones like TikTok and YouTube and so forth. In the organic side, we create a weekly podcast focused on FP&A, which is a niche within the office of the CFO with a guy called the FP&A guy. And that's as niche as it can get. It now has more than 500,000 downloads, like 4 years later. Yeah, and we also did like a fun like LinkedIn page with like fun humor and thought leadership, from the world of FP&A. And that's how we started to scale and grow.
Sounds really impressive. And I would love also to touch about that topic, right? So we said that this topic of the episode will be about non-conventional B2B strategies. And I know that you've kind of like taken a lot out of the B2C world into B2B, and that's very unique. I would love to hear a point of view. What made you take this decision, and how bold can you be? I mean, did you have like an assumption that that will work? Did you ever tested it before that?
To do what exactly? To do like
To use the more B2C type of channels. So you mentioned TikTok, you've mentioned influencers marketing.
Yeah, I think the way I see it is like 99% of marketing is just noise people try to ignore. You need to be the 1% that actually stands out. Like thinking about it, especially like in social channels, like you scroll through your Instagram feed, you're going to see comedians you like, or actors, or models, or your friends. To create something in B2B that's going to be interesting enough for you to actually stop scrolling and look at it, it has to be unique. It has to be like something really valuable. So we're doing like a lot of different ads that are really funny or smart, or we're using like UGC ads that are more relevant for this type of like networks, user generated content. We're working with like Fiverr and Upwork to do it, and we're following the best practices of other companies in the space. And I think usually in B2B people are very boring, but B2B doesn't need to be boring to boring. You're not selling to corporations, you're selling to actual human beings. I was recently at an event with CFOs, and you see them like while there's like a talk, they're scrolling through their phones. And yes, they are on Instagram, and they are looking at funny videos and so forth. Like, not a lot of people believe this, but even CFOs or even CIOs have a sense of humor. And it's like, I think a lot of companies are just afraid to do it. So that once you play it safe, maybe you don't get fired immediately, but eventually you'll get fired because their marketing just isn't gonna work.
Yeah, but you do need to be very creative and also to have the courage to try something like that. So that's pretty amazing. I would love to touch about a bit about the MarTech. Yeah, so now there is the rise of AI, which we all know about, but also there are different tools. One of them is Clay. There's a huge buzz around, GTM engineering and the shift that is happening currently in marketing. I would love to hear from your personal point of view. Is the buzz really worth it? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Like we're working with a lot of these tools. I'm really trying to push my team to leverage more AI tools and the tools out there like in the market. And we have a really, really amazing team to do that. We're using tools like Buzz AI for outreach through LinkedIn and other channels. We're very big users of Momentum. That's like a sales tool, like that transcribes like all the different calls, and then you can ask it different questions about, what happened in different meetings, or it can set like alerts, like based on like if the price objection wasn't correct by how the account executive used it, like it actually notifies, the manager, like in sales, in marketing. We are using Clay, of course, with combination with ChatGPT and others to like enrich all of our leads, to know better like where they locate, what they're working on. And I believe that, we spoke a little bit before about outbound. I believe that with all these tools, we can make outbound work. And a big part of making outbound work today is actually sitting within marketing operations or revenue operations, however you want to call it. If you build it in the right tools in the right way, you can actually generate a lot of great leads, for the SDR team to work on, to really focus on the most high quality contacts, people that actually showed interest. And I'm very hopeful about it. But again, like we're using dozens of different tools. We're always trying. Some work better, some work don't work as well. But I think that's why it's good listening to podcasts like this and going to like other conversations with like CMOs, CROs, marketing ops, rev ops people, because you always like hear like what's working, what's not working for other people, and you can like steal those ideas and make it happen in your business.
Yeah. So it sounds as if in your department, you're testing a lot, testing different tools, testing different ideas, bringing different methodologies, not being afraid of like breaking the rules a bit. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's like you need to take risks and do these things, and sometimes it's not going to work. Sometimes you're going to send the wrong automation, but again, it's like if you don't take the risk anyway, you're going to fail. Like going back to the point of marketing and doing it something fun. Like when I joined in my second week, I did like a funny meme on our LinkedIn channel. Like until then, everything was like super boring, like posts that like got no interaction. And so I did it. We just got like a few likes. We just got it started. And one of the board members actually told the CEO, it's like, what are you guys doing? You're selling to CFOs. Well, what are these like ridiculous things you're posting on LinkedIn? And the CEO asked me, I told him, trust me, with time it's going to work. And really like within a month, like we started doing like posts that got like thousands of likes and hundreds of shares and all that. You just need to try and experiment, because if you don't try, you're just going to fail. So so I think like for all the marketers out there that feel like, they might get fired if they don't do these experiments. So first of all, do it. You live only once. Go big. And if you get fired, probably you don't need to be in that place. Go to somewhere else where the CEO is going to trust you to do amazing marketing.
Yeah. So there's this phrase, fail forward. And I think that is what that is like what you're embodying basically. So thank you very much for sharing. I would love to talk a bit about, the whole B2C perspective and the different potential marketeers and salespersons that you brought into the team, because I know that they also come maybe from different disciplines. Is that correct?
Yeah. So like our head of our growth team actually came, from one of these like mobile apps that have like all these like crazy ads. You see like these like mobile crazy games. One of our heads of the user acquisition team also came, from Fiverr. We have like someone else that come from an online marketing place. Just people that are willing to take risk and understand, the target audience are like human beings. And like I mentioned, like we're doing UGC ads. We think about content, like we think about like an idea or a brief for an ad, as if in the past, like it would take you months to actually operationalize it. You need to work with an agency. It's going to cost you like $30,000. You're going to bring actors. Now you write a brief. We send it to like 4 people on like Fiverr. They send us something back. And, the way the algorithms work, and both, in Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, as well as TikTok, you just like want to feed those algorithms with as many like videos as possible, because you never know what's actually going to work. And one of the things that worked the best for us 2 years ago is like, we saw this ad. I was working for another company that made fun of some well-known like phrase by Kim Kardashian. And we did that. And it brought us a lot of deals, like not only leads, it brought us deals. And who would have thought like, a Kim Kardashian kind of meme would help you sell FP&A software for CFOs. But again, you need to have these like scroll stoppers. You have to take the risk, and you need to hire the people that are going to be willing to take that risk with you.
Yeah. Wow. I would never expect Kim Kardashian to close a deal in the FP&A space. It's very surprising what you're sharing, and also a bit funny. Yeah. So what do you believe, that the people that come from B2C actually, do they bring a different DNA from the more traditional B2B marketing persona that we will meet?
Yeah, I think they're just like, they understand that they're trying to sell to human beings on the other side, like them, that they can make fun with and all that. And again, like some B2B marketers understand that as well. Like my background is B2B, it's not B2C. But I think in B2B, there's this conception, you can say, in the past, 10, 15, 20 years, as if like everything needs to be super strict. Like, you see two business people like shaking hands, or it's all about like, let's create this like 20-page ebooks that no one is actually going to read. Like here, I'm an executive, I'm a CRO. What's the last time I read like a 20-page ebook? I'd rather scroll through Instagram and see like funny videos. Like we're people at the end of the day. Like, of course, you need to adjust and understand like who you're selling to. Of course, for example, in our case, like a lot of things at work are things that are more like geeky, stuff about like, the Office show or, Star Wars or like stuff like that. But, like I mentioned, also sometimes like things with Kim Kardashian, like you just need to like test a lot of different things, but you need to understand it. Again, it's not that different than B2C. B2B and B2C are the same. You're selling to human beings, just in one case actually work for a company. That's the only difference.
Yeah, so very human-led approach. I would love to ask you a follow-up question. How do you balance between, the funny memes, the Instagram, the, more kind of like fun part of the brand personality into staying professional, staying a thought leader in the category? Is there a way how do you mitigate these two
Yeah, I
things?
think you just need to do both. But you need to create different content for different persona, different individuals. Like I mentioned, on the one hand, we can have these like funny ads or gags or memes. On the other, but then I mentioned it also before, we have this podcast, 1 hour shows diving deep into the world of FP&A, talking about, just like you're here interviewing me about like marketing and sales and all that. So we dive deep into like how someone started a job as FP&A, how they helped their business, how they moved up, to the position of CFO. That if you're a FP&A director or a CFO out there, you would want to consume this information. Or sometimes, we share graphs and models based on, things we're seeing in the finance space. A great example of someone that does like a great job with that is like Secret CFO. And, if anyone here follows a Secret CFO, but it's like a CFO, we don't know who that is, that creates like very deep content sharing about their experience as being a CFO with anecdotes and ideas and graphs and so forth. But they also like use humor every now and then, to make their point. And I think like we're trying to do the same. We're just like trying to find the mix, but it's not that like I have a formula of like 20%, 80%. We just want to create like enough content and enough like engaging content, like everyone will find, what they can connect with.
Yeah, so kind of like a buffet in a way. Pick and choose what you kind of like cater and resonate with you. I would love to talk a bit about the future of marketing. So you've mentioned that as a CRO, you don't read ebooks, and that is very surprising. But would you have some point of view or an idea about the future of marketing? Where is it all heading? Is it more about video creation? You've mentioned podcasts, you've mentioned influencer marketing. Should our listeners, when they're trying to start envisioning a more futuristic strategy, should they put more weight into video content as opposed to written content?
Yes. So like a few things. So of course, I think video content is great. I think it's more about like, the quality of the content. You want to do things that are really engaging. I think in video, you can do a lot of things that are more engaging, but doesn't mean like you can't do other things as well. I think especially now with AI, you can create that videos much faster. I think a big part of what I would say, like you were saying, you were surprised I don't read ebooks or barely read them, but I do read a lot and listen a lot, to podcasts. But so what I do is my recommendation is about communities. For example, I'm a part of this CMO community called GCMO. They have like monthly events and also like an amazing like WhatsApp group where CMOs of global organizations share their best practices, what works and what doesn't. Like we just had like this text exchange today about some kind of AI SDR thing or other stuff. I'm also a part of a pavilion that is really great, for executives. I took their CMO school and CRO school. I, of course, went to like Events by the Alliance. I spoke at an event in TL. I went like for the last couple of years to their like annual event in New York, which is actually great. They do the same time like the CRO event and the CMO event. So because I'm like both, I like jump between, the two events
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
two conference rooms. So I think it's like, you want to build this like kind of community where it's just like more direct. You just hear the real opinions of people. Like I also follow people on LinkedIn because as opposed to let's say ebooks or something that's like very industrial, like and B2B focused, like just want to see the other person on the other side and actually then send them a note and say like, oh, I saw you posted about this. Does this really work? Like I tried this and this didn't work. And when you have like a real conversation like this, like people really respond to you. It doesn't seem like you're trying to sell or they're trying to sell anything.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that also it feels as if, we're currently in the post-corona world, and it seems as if in-person connection are definitely on the rise. And people, as you said, want to follow people. They don't want to follow corporate brand. They want to see the more human side. I think that also, especially with the rise of the AI, it feels as if, yes, it's a tool, we need to use it, but also there is a different quality to meaningful conversation with people. How surprising. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so maybe like you're asking me about my thoughts. Of course, like we mentioned video, but like here's a projection. Okay, if I had to guess, I think in the future, exactly like you said, it's going to be more about people's. A trend I've been seeing more on LinkedIn, and maybe you've seen it as well. Is like there's a lot more sponsored posts for people as opposed to the brand. Then you see like a specific client saying like, oh, I use this tool. This tool is great. And you see it's like promoted by that company, or you see people building their own brands, whether it's like CEOs or CMOs, CROs. It doesn't matter really, like your specific role. I think it's going to lead more there. Like people want to hear from people, even if they know it's like paid, as opposed to just hearing from a brand. That's my guess of where like marketing is going to go in the future.
100% agree to it. We can also see that, the creator economy definitely on the rise, influencer marketing, moving into B2B space, etc. And this is all because we want to follow people. So as you said, we spend our time on Instagram. It doesn't matter for us if we see a B2C brand, if we see a personal brand, like someone doing personal branding, or a B2B company. And I think that resonates with all of us. So with that, having said that, we have reached the end of our lovely episode. Aviv, one final question before we close this chapter. Do you have one tip for our audience, something that you think that they should definitely allocate some time? So you've mentioned communities, anything else that you think that our audience should kind of like investigate or try to adopt?
Yeah, there's I think a lot of things we discussed in the episode today, but if I want people to take like one thing is like take risks, go wild, YOLO, you live only once. Try to do fun, creative, engaging marketing. Worst case, it doesn't work, but if it works, it's so much fun. Like it reminds you why you wanted to go to marketing, from the get-go. So I would say go for it.
Yeah, I love your spirit, Aviv. Thank you very much for being a guest in my show. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Michal. It was great being here.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of CMO Convo. For more content like this, check the recommended videos on your screen now. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a thing.